In the world of travel, convenience sells. Few things feel more practical than handing your keys to a professional valet at the airport, boarding your flight and returning to find your car waiting, spotless and safe. It's a small luxury that promises peace of mind, but for hundreds of travelers at Gatwick Airport between 2014 and 2016, that promise was nothing more than a lie. The man behind it was Asad Malik, a businessman who built what appeared to be a legitimate meet-and-greet parking empire. His companies offered secure airport parking with 24-hour CCTV monitoring, professional chauffeurs, and fenced compounds. In reality, many of those vehicles ended up in open fields, on dirt lots, or parked along unguarded lanes miles from the airport. Asad Malik's business model was built on a simple idea: make airport parking look effortless. His main company, London Parking Gatwick Limited, and related entities promoted themselves as reputable operators offering premium meet-and-greet parking at Gatwick Airport. The pitch was persuasive. Malik's websites showcased bright photos of clean lots, smiling attendants, and slogans promising security and professionalism. The marketing language emphasized that vehicles would be stored in a locked compound with CCTV cameras, floodlights, and trained staff. Customers could book online, drop off their car near the terminal, and collect it on return, all for a competitive price. The problem was that the security he promised didn't exist. Investigators later found that Malik's staff collected cars and drove them not to a private, fenced compound, but to whatever space they could find: fields behind industrial estates, disused lots, and, in some cases, residential areas. Cars were often left unlocked, keys visible, and no staff monitored the sites overnight. The secure element was a fiction. To unsuspecting travelers, it all seemed legitimate. Uniformed drivers met them at the terminal. Receipts were printed. Customer service numbers worked. Yet the system was designed to cut costs and hide what really happened once the customer disappeared through security. The misconduct stretched over nearly 2 years, from October 2014 to August 2016, although complaints suggest the business's questionable practices may have started earlier. During that time, thousands of cars passed through Malik's companies. Many customers never knew what had happened to their vehicles. Only when reports began piling up damaged cars, missing fuel, unexplained mileage did the scale of the deception start to surface. Investigators traced the operations to a pattern. Malik's businesses would spring up, take bookings under one name, and then quietly rebrand or register a new company when complaints escalated. This tactic helped him avoid early scrutiny and continue trading despite growing dissatisfaction. By the time trading standards and local authorities began formal investigations, the damage was extensive. Hundreds of customers had been affected, and the business had generated over £1 million in revenue. The longevity of the operation underscored a key issue. Because meet-and-greet parking sits in a regulatory gray zone not directly overseen by airports, it can operate unchecked for years unless consumer complaints reach critical mass. Financially, Malik's companies were thriving, at least on paper. Over the life of the scam, they took in more than £1.4 million in customer payments. The operation handled hundreds of vehicles each month, particularly during peak travel seasons. The structure was simple. Customers booked online, paid in advance, and received confirmation that their vehicle would be parked in a secure, CCTV-monitored compound. The drivers collected the cars at Gatwick's terminals and ferried them to whatever spaces were available. Malik's business capitalized on a truth about modern travel. Most people won't ask where exactly their car is parked, as long as it's waiting when they return. That assumption, combined with the stress and time pressure of catching a flight, made the deception profitable. Behind the scenes, costs were minimal. The company didn't maintain a permanent, secure car park. There were no CCTV systems, fencing, or official leases for the land used. Staff were often temporary drivers paid in cash. The entire setup functioned by maximizing bookings while minimizing actual infrastructure or accountability. The numbers alone made the case striking. Millions earned from services that largely didn't exist beyond the brochure. The foundation of Malik's scam was misrepresentation, Every promise made to customers, secure storage, trained staff, locked gates, CCTV, was either false or grossly exaggerated. The websites used marketing phrases that evoked safety and professionalism. "Your car is in safe hands," one advertisement read. Another boasted of 24-hour monitoring by experienced personnel. Stock photos of well-lit compounds gave the impression of a high-quality facility. But when investigators followed up on complaints, they found none of those features were real. Cars were dumped in open fields, industrial backlots, and muddy patches of land without fences or surveillance. In some cases, cars were parked in public access areas where anyone could walk through. One vehicle was found parked beside a hedge, unlocked, with its keys sitting on a nearby wheel arch. Others showed signs of being driven for personal use. GPS trackers placed by investigators revealed that some cars were taken on long detours during their supposed storage period. In court, prosecutors described Malik's advertising as deliberately misleading, designed to convince customers that they were paying for secure premium service when in fact they were paying for the illusion of one. False advertising, when repeated on a commercial scale and tied to consumer detriment, constitutes a criminal offense under UK consumer protection law. Malik's case became a textbook example. The human side of the story lies in what happened to those who trusted Malik's company. Travelers returned from holidays to find their cars caked in mud, interiors littered with trash, and dashboards displaying hundreds of new miles. Some found scratches, dents, or broken mirrors. A few were told their vehicles couldn't be located immediately, the driver's on his way, only to wait hours in the airport car park while staff scrambled to retrieve them. In one striking case, a family discovered their car had been driven 185 miles during their vacation. Another customer reported the fuel tank nearly empty and a smell of cigarettes inside. A few people alleged their personal items were missing from glove compartments and boots. The stress and inconvenience compounded the financial loss. Many customers were exhausted after long flights, dealing with language barriers or traveling with children. Their expectation of an easy professional service was replaced by confrontation and disbelief. Some tried to get refunds, but the customer service numbers often went unanswered or redirected to new company names. Others turned to their banks or credit card providers to recover payments. Trading Standards later noted that while not every customer suffered damage, every customer had been misled, and that in itself constituted harm. The legal reckoning came in April 2019 at Brighton Crown Court. After a detailed investigation led by West Sussex Trading Standards, Asad Malik was charged with multiple offenses under the Consumer Protection from Unfair Trading Regulations 2008. The prosecution argued that Malik had engaged in unfair commercial practices by making false claims about the security and quality of his parking services. They presented evidence of repeated misrepresentation, financial gain from misleading advertisements, and a pattern of neglect that went beyond mere mismanagement. The defense maintained that Malik had not intended to deceive customers and blamed logistical challenges and subcontractors for lapses in service. The jury disagreed. They found that Malik was responsible for the deception, directly or through his direction, of the companies involved. The judge emphasized that the misconduct was systematic and deliberate, noting that Malik had profited substantially while exposing customers to unnecessary risk. He was sentenced to 14 months in prison and ordered to pay costs. The sentence was not long by white-collar crime standards, but it carried weight. It marked one of the few times a UK airport parking operator faced criminal prosecution for consumer fraud. For victims, it was a measure of justice after years of frustration. For the industry, it was a warning shot. Alongside the prison sentence came a 4-year director disqualification. This meant Malik was legally barred from managing, forming, or promoting any company during that period. The measure aimed to protect the public from repeat misconduct. Disqualification is a serious sanction used when directors abuse their positions, act dishonestly, or show disregard for consumer law. In Malik's case, the court concluded that his business model relied on misleading advertising and false assurances to customers. Disqualification ensured he could not simply start another company under a new name. For regulators, it also served as a statement that corporate misconduct, even in small-scale service industries, can warrant personal accountability. The disqualification reinforced the link between corporate ethics and consumer trust, a reminder that directors are ultimately responsible for the claims their companies make. The Malik case exposed a broader vulnerability in the airport parking sector. Meet-and-greet parking services operate in a space between private enterprise and public access. Airports like Gatwick often lease drop-off zones to third-party companies but do not directly regulate where or how cars are stored once collected. This creates fertile ground for dishonest operators to exploit consumer trust while staying technically outside airport jurisdiction. Before Malik's prosecution, complaints about rogue parking companies were rising across the UK. Similar issues had been reported near Heathrow, Manchester, and Luton. In many cases, customers only discovered problems after returning from holidays. Because vehicles were moved off-site, enforcement agencies had to coordinate with multiple local authorities to investigate. The Malik investigation, led by West Sussex Trading Standards with support from Sussex Police, became a model for how such cases could be handled. They used undercover bookings, GPS trackers, and surveillance to document the actual treatment of vehicles. After the case concluded, Gatwick Airport began publishing warnings on its website urging travelers to use only approved parking providers. The airport also collaborated with local councils to tighten vetting of third-party operators. The case helped push for clearer consumer education and stronger enforcement, though many argue the sector remains under-regulated even today. The evidence presented in court painted a picture of systemic failure, not isolated lapses. Trading Standards investigation uncovered widespread negligence. In several undercover tests, officers booked secure parking through Malik's website and tracked their vehicles using GPS devices. Those cars ended up miles from Gatwick, parked in open fields or on public roads. Some were moved multiple times during the booking period, suggesting they were being used for personal transport. Photographs from these operations showed cars caked in mud, keys left unattended in boxes or cup holders, and no security personnel in sight. Interviews with former staff revealed there was no structured system for recording vehicle locations or mileage. Customer complaints followed a consistent pattern: damage, fuel loss, and difficulty retrieving cars. Some reported being asked to wait hours for their vehicle because staff couldn't find it. In many instances, the same excuses were used: traffic, driver delayed, or compound gate issue. Investigators concluded that the company's core processes were designed for convenience and profit, not safety or reliability. Malik's management style favored volume and cash flow over standards. There were no genuine security investments, staff training, or operational oversight. These findings underscored that the deception was deliberate and sustained, not a result of incompetence, but a calculated business choice. The Malik case resonated beyond Gatwick. It revealed how easily trust can be exploited in industries where services depend on convenience and time pressure. For consumers, the lesson is stark: price and appearance do not guarantee legitimacy. Travelers booking meet-and-greet parking often assume it's managed or vetted by the airport. In most cases, it isn't. Third-party companies can rent advertising space or access roads but operate independently. For the parking industry, the scandal highlighted the need for verifiable standards. The Parkmark scheme, which certifies secure parking facilities, gained renewed attention afterward. Customers were urged to look for accreditation and to verify the operator's location before booking. Gatwick and other airports began issuing stronger warnings about rogue traders, advising travelers to avoid deals that seemed too good to be true. For regulators, the case demonstrated the value of coordinated enforcement. It took local councils, trading standards, and the police working together to bring Malik to justice. Without that collaboration, the scam could have continued unchecked. Ultimately, the case forced the travel sector to confront an uncomfortable truth. Convenience services, even seemingly minor ones like parking, need oversight and accountability, equal to their public trust. The Asad Malik Gatwick parking scam was not just about cars and fields. It was about the erosion of trust in everyday services. Hundreds of travelers believed they were paying for security and professionalism. What they got was deception wrapped in convenience. For consumers, the case serves as a permanent reminder to verify before trusting. Check whether a parking service is accredited, affiliated with the airport, and transparent about where your car goes. Take photos, record mileage, and read the fine print. Convenience should not replace caution. For businesses, it underscores that honesty is not optional. Misleading advertising can be prosecuted, and reputational damage lasts far longer than any short-term profit. The Malik case shows that small-scale frauds, when multiplied across thousands of transactions, carry both criminal and ethical consequences. And for regulators, it illustrates the need for clear standards in gray markets like meet-and-greet parking. Airports are gateways to travel. They should also be gateways to accountability. Malik's 14-month sentence and 4-year director ban closed one chapter, but the broader challenge remains, ensuring that every promise made to the public, no matter how small, is one that can be kept. Thank you for watching. What do you think about this case? Was the punishment fair, and what more could be done to protect travelers from similar schemes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective and keep the conversation going. If you found this case interesting, subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss future stories like this.